Coming to you from the Trumbull Insurance Agency virtual studio. Turn your stress and anxiety into peace and security with Trumbull Insurance. Contact Patrick Van Kemper today for all your insurance needs at 540-532-0622. And for the rest of our sponsors, Regroup Building Services, PM Plus Reserves, Shenandoah Primitives, Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, and Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate. This is another edition, a playoff edition of the Kirby on Sports podcast live. Once again, I'm your host, Josh Kirby. If you're just tuning into this new format, we are going live each and every week at our scheduled time of Tuesday, 7 p.m. If that changes, we will let you know. And then afterwards, this will be up on all streaming platforms. I did not come alone. As always, my co-host and lead contributor joins me, Dan Demski. Hi, Dan. How are you?
Feeling good, feeling undefeated, which we'll get to. But yes, I'm doing well, man. It's crazy. This was a pretty wild card round. I know we're gonna get into it. Only a couple close games on paper, but we'll talk about that. So it was a fun weekend though, and a lot of football, right?
Oh yeah, a lot
Saturday,
of football.
Sunday, and Monday. You had
a lot
3
of
full
football.
days. So.
As we bring in the Swiss Army knife, Carlos Martinez. Hello, Carlos.
We'll do it live, boys. We're gonna do this live again.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. All right. Hi, Carlos. How are you?
Oh, still licking my wounds from the Cowboys office. But hey, the good news is my dog's team is still winning, so.
Well, yeah, that is one thing. We will get into it all. Once again, the weapon Dan Demski and the Swiss Army knife Carlos Martinez. Gentlemen, I don't see why we need to continue these pleasantries when there are some super wild card weekend games that we need to discuss. Are we ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm sure Carlos is.
Oh, I got a lot to say. I've got a lot to say.
Tick.
First and foremost, we're going to do this in order. The Bengals and the Raiders, for the first time in 31 years, the Cincinnati Bengals win a playoff game against the Las Vegas Raiders in the jungle in Cincinnati. And one thing I'd really like to start off by saying, before we even talk about this matchup, is the fact that, yes, the Raiders just let go of Mike Mayock, but Rich Bisaccia has to be considered, at least considered, as a head coaching candidate for this Raiders team. Because first and foremost, after all the uncertainty and tragedies that have went on with this Raiders team and drama, so on and so forth, for this team to even make it to the wild card, that's huge. With an interim coach, that's even bigger and better, in my opinion. And I feel like Bisaccia just needs consideration for this head coaching job, because I feel like he would be a great leader moving forward. It was tweeted out that he wrote handwritten thank you notes to each one of his players after that wild card loss as well, which shows a lot about a coach, in my opinion, sitting down, taking the time to do all of that. So I really think he just needs to be considered as a head coaching candidate moving forward. If not, I could see him being a coach somewhere else in this league. I don't know when, I don't know where, but I just had to get that off my chest because I feel like he was a really good coach. But other than that, what a great way to start off a Super Wildcard weekend with a great matchup between the Bengals and the Raiders. 26-19 was the final in that game. And the main concern for me, the main flipping thing was the fact of the matter is the Raiders shot themselves in the foot. No doubt about it. They shot themselves in the foot with holding penalties, false start penalties, and it really killed them. And I feel like penalties were the main factor in why the Cincinnati Bengals won this game. One of the factors, Cincinnati played an all-around better football game, mistake-free, penalty-free. I'll let you get into that more, Dan, because I know you had some thoughts on that. But, I mean, the penalties, first and foremost, the Raiders just could not clean up their penalties and mistakes, and I knew there were a couple questionable calls by Jerome Boger's crew in that game. They're not expected to be back officiating in the playoffs at all. So, Dan, I'll start with you. What did you see from the Raiders in their penalties and Jerome Boger's crew as a whole?
Yeah, they like you mentioned, there were several calls that were questionable. But overall, you're totally correct about the just lack of discipline the Raiders had. I mean, you could tell the way the Bengals were playing, they were playing mistake-free football. They were doing what they had to do to get that first playoff win. They knew. They know what playoff football is all about. You know, you have to protect your house as well, and that's the other part of this too. Like you're playing at home, you have to do what you can. So, the Bengals did what they had to do, and the Raiders couldn't really get out of their own way. They fell behind throughout much of this game, and I kind of felt like they were just never able to recover. And you know, I'm not going to comment too much about the questionable calls. I think everybody knows by now, you know, kind of what we saw. And I think in general the Bengals just wanted it more. You know what I mean? There's just certain times when you can see a team, like Cincinnati that's so hungry for that elusive playoff win, which has been 31 years. Of course, the call that everybody talks about is the touchdown they gave to the Bengals, where the whistle was heard. If you go back and watch, it was heard as the ball was being thrown or as the ball was being released, which according to the NFL rule book says that the play is stopped dead, and I guess they repeat the down or whatever the case is. I don't know the exact verbiage used. But that's sort of the call everybody's questioning, which is essentially was the point difference in the game. So, you know, that's the big call everybody's talking about. And there were a couple other interesting calls, some odd spots as well for both teams. I just thought the officiating was bad across the board. But those big calls, especially the one with the whistle being blown as the play was happening, that went the Bengals' way was particularly egregious, and I think everybody agrees with that. If you ask officiating experts, all the way down to, you know, Stephen A. Smith or whatever, they're all going to say the same thing. It was pretty egregious. But that being said, you know, I don't think the refs handed the Bengals this game. They just had, like I said, more fire and more desire to win this game. We all know what the Raiders have gone through. We've talked about it a lot. And Josh, you prefaced that to start this conversation. The job that Rich, I can't even pronounce his last name, Bisaccia has done. Yep. Bisaccia has done.
You got it.
He definitely should be considered head coach. And, you know, I think he maybe should get the job because he's been able to captain the ship and weather the storm, the insane storm that the Raiders have had this season. So he deserves a shot at least. I'm sure they're going to interview him more, you know, narrowly and stuff like that, along with other candidates, but we'll see what happens. But no, I think the game, it was just a sloppy game, especially for the Raiders. They looked a little out of sorts from the beginning, and they did not play their best football. The Bengals did, quite frankly. And yes, they had one call that was a touchdown that went their way. But I think even if you take that away, I think the Bengals still win that football game. They were just a sharper team.
Yeah, I mean, you said it, Dan. I mean, honestly, the Bengals just had more firepower. Just for everything that the Raiders went this season, I think this is, I mean, for them to make the playoffs and to even still be competitive in this game despite all the penalties and stuff that they were getting, is still a credit to them because they did weather all that storm and they were still in it and were, you know, if I remember correctly, weren't they driving at the end to try and tie it up?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a fantastic job by them, and there's nothing they should hold their, you know, they should hold their head up high for how they weathered all that adversity with the, you know, the emails from John Gruden and, of course, all the legal issues with other teammates. And yeah, just ultimately, just once you get to the playoffs, you're playing the best. You're playing the best teams most of the time, and especially when you're the team going, when you're the away team going to a home, team that's very motivated to get this win, where the crowd is bumping, and it just really feels different compared to the last couple times that the Bengals have been in the playoffs.
Right.
And also when you're coming up against a huge talent in Joe Burrow, who looked ready for the moment. Yeah, it was just too much to overcome for the Raiders. But yeah, like you guys said, credit to Rich Bisaccia. He did a fantastic job guiding this team here. Another thing I want to add also is they did play that crazy overtime game on Sunday night, and then to come quickly into the first Saturday game. I mean, that probably didn't help. They didn't get as much rest. They had to quickly turn around and get ready for this game. So that probably didn't help. But yeah, just ultimately, the Bengals were just way more, just a lot cleaner. Obviously, with the penalty calls, they obviously got that lucky call that shouldn't have been in the touchdown. Although when you look at the play, the whistle shouldn't have ever been blown anyways, because he never went out of bounds. That play should have counted, but of course the whistle did blow, so by rule it's supposed to end there.
Right.
So
it's a messy situation.
It's a very messy situation, but yeah, ultimately, so they did get that lucky call, but I think they were going to win this game anyways. I really did. Only Kirby thought that the Raiders were going to win, but we'll get to that a little later. But yeah, I mean, just not really much to say. It was a pretty good way to start Wild Card Weekend. Super Wild Card Weekend. And
got it.
And yeah, and yeah, just not really much. I don't really have that many thoughts on this game. Just Joe Burrow is. I mean, the Bengals could make a run here if they
could.
I mean, I could see them easily in the AFC Championship game. I really could.
I could as well. And he and Jamar Chase, they continue to tear up every team they play.
I was about to say that Jamar Chase,
their
116 yards on 9 receptions.
I mean, they're cooking right now.
Problem.
They're cooking. Those two guys, if they can stick together, they could be the next great quarterback wide receiver combination in the NFL.
I mean, they already have the chemistry from college, so that's what really is helping here is the fact
that's what gives them the upper hand, and that's why you don't see any disconnect most of the time. They're always on point, and that's because they've done this a million times before. And they've won,
and they've been in big situations.
Exactly,
because, they went and won the national championship together.
Yeah,
and they had to go through the SEC. They had to play Alabama.
Exactly,
and Alabama was really good that year. Of course, they fizzled out because Tua got hurt and all that stuff. But like they won at Bama too. It wasn't like they won at LSU. They won at Bama that year.
Yeah.
And then they had to go through. I mean, Oklahoma was an easy win that year, but then they had to play Clemson, and they beat Clemson. Like, they dominated them. And then, of course, Jamar Chase takes the year off coming because of COVID, and then Joe Burrow, of course, goes to the NFL. And, of course, Joe Burrow's coming back from that major knee injury. But, I mean, he's looking pretty comfortable back there. And even though that line is still atrocious,
doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because the talent is just so good around him. Because it's not just Jamar Chase. Let's not get it twisted. Joe Mixon is doing a fantastic job running the ball also, and T. Higgins is not a bad option also for him to throw if Jamar Chase is double covered or anything like that. So, yeah, just like I said, the Bengals just had more firepower than the Raiders did, and that's ultimately what I think was the difference in this game.
I'll just finish by talking about Joe Burrow. He doesn't make the big mistake. He just doesn't. I mean, for a young quarterback, guys in their first 2 or 3 seasons, they usually make those errant mistakes or whatever. He just doesn't. And I like the way he plays because he just takes what the defense gives him. And look, it helps to have chemistry like he has with Jamar Chase. That makes up for a lot of things that would be mistakes. But I'm just super impressed with his composure and his cool. And his ability to perform under pressure, he's been fantastic. And I as much as it pains me to say this, they're going to be forced to be reckoned with in that division and in the AFC for years to come. And like I said, it pains me to say that, but I just see that I see them as a problem each and every season. And he just gets better and better with every game. So watch out, NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, besides the duo of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, one person I also liked seeing out there, CJ Uzama. He had 6 receptions, 64 yards as well. And their defense played really well. You have Jermaine Pratt with an interception off of Derek Carr. So defense played decent in that game as well. So I mean, other than that, I think just the Bengals wanted him more. 31 years was way too long. And now they have a playoff win under their belt at home, and that crowd was electric afterwards.
And as they should be. They've been waiting so damn long for this. You know what I mean? I think more than anything else, it's just a huge relief to those Cincinnati Bengals fans. Like, you know, generations have come and gone in all that time. So that's the other thing too, is like there's fans now that they have no idea of the past struggles of the playoffs of this team. So that's what I respect more than anything else. Hats off to them though. Those fans, they showed out and they were loud. I mean, this was one of the loudest playoff environments I think I saw all weekend, and rightfully so.
Yeah, it just felt different going into this game than it did in like prior playoff games. Like prior playoff games, you just never really believed, you know, in the Marvin Lewis era, you just didn't believe that they had a shot at it, even though they had like AJ Green in his prime, and Andy Dalton wasn't, you know, that bad of a quarterback, you know, a few years ago. I mean, he was serviceable. He wasn't elite, but you know, he was a decent quarterback. And yeah, you just never felt like going into those games that they were gonna, you know, like do what this team can do, you know. And I think that's the difference, is that also they proved it with that Kansas City win, you know, because like they were down in that Kansas City game, and then here they are. Yeah, then they made that major comeback. They beat the Chiefs, and I think that really invigorated the fan base as like, we can do this, you know, like we can make a run here. You know, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are so dominant that, you know, we can make a run here. So yeah, I think that's what really excited the fan base. And you're right, Kirby. 31 years is too long. They should have won, you know, a couple playoff games prior to this, but of course things didn't go their way. But yeah, I think the future looks very bright for the Bengals going forward here.
And what defense in the AFC is going to stop that combination? I'm looking down the list, and I don't see anyone. I really don't. I mean, maybe you could argue Buffalo, they have a decent secondary, but I'm worried about the other teams in the AFC to see. I just don't see anyone who could match up well from the secondary point of view. So that's the other thing. The other thing to think about as well. I have those tongue twisters every week we do this crap. So yeah.
All right, so that's the Bengals 26. They're moving on, defeating the Raiders 26-19. Let's talk about a snoozer that I went to bed around halftime at. The Bills and the Patriots. It was 4 degrees. It felt like -7 degrees. And how about it? This goes to show you how great Washington's culture is, where they're was supposed to be starting quarterback.
Always coming back to Washington.
Why are we bringing up Washington in this?
Because their quarterback, Ryan Fitzpatrick,
He's not their quarterback. He played one half and got injured and never came back. He's not your quarterback. Your quarterback's Taylor Heineke, okay?
Well, I'm just saying Washington.
Washington has nothing to do with this. He was quarterback for the Buffalo Bills for a long time.
Yes, he was, and that's why he was there.
And he loved that fan base. Why wouldn't you love that fan base? That fan base is absolutely nuts.
Bills Mafia.
I think it was unhealthy for him to be in that close.
Oh my God, Kirby! Let's just talk about the game. Enough about Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Shirtless in the seats, Ryan Fitzpatrick was. I mean, guys, the real question about. Excuse me, not the real question.
No, here's the real question.
Why do you bring Washington into everything?
And what did you guys do instead of watching this game once you realized, oh, this isn't even going to be competitive? Kirby?
I went to bed.
Dan?
If it wasn't competitive, I
played video games. That's what I did.
I watched Eternals.
Bad
movie. Terrible movie.
Was it really?
It
Interesting.
was not good. But anyways, back
First
to the
and
game.
foremost in
Bad.
this
It was a
game,
bad game.
Josh Allen, 66
Bad game
yards
by the
on the
Patriots, not by
ground.
the Bills. Yeah, Josh Allen.
Yeah, he looked incredible on the ground.
Mhm.
That he had 308 yards passing in
He
5
had 4
touchdowns.
incomplete passes. He had 4 incomplete passes the whole game.
That's incredible.
I mean, that's you. If you played on rookie, you probably wouldn't be able to do
In
that on Madden.
5 touchdowns.
It's
I
just
don't know, I've
crazy,
done a
man.
You
Madden
would
game on Madden
think
before.
with a
Okay,
Bill
okay.
Belichick ran team that the Patriots would put up more than a fight, but this is
More of a
rare to
fight.
see Bill Belichick get beat this bad in the playoffs.
Well, the talent.
That's what happened. The Bills Mafia showed up in very frigid cold temperatures. I mean, I'm going to go back to PFT commenter on Twitter, and he said it looks like the Bills are vaping every play because that's how big their breath was, so on and so forth. But that's how cold it was. And for the Bills Mafia to show up like that, almost
They
drop
always do.
50, it was crazy, even in those cold temperatures.
Well, they've been waiting for
like
this.
you
They've been
were
waiting for this
saying-
for a long time.
Like you all were saying, how do they not have a heated field? Crazy, man. Crazy.
That's what Carlos said, and then I was a smart ass and was like, "That's real football. No heated field. Everything's an icicle. Yeah, I love it."
Well, I mean, Buffalo's been trying forever to get out of that stadium to build a new one, because new or whatever. I don't even know what it's not even New Era Field anymore. I don't even remember
Highmark
what it's
Stadium.
called. Yeah,
Highmark?
that.
Okay.
Highmark.
Highmark Stadium. Yeah,
Can't even keep up
you
now.
know,
It's crazy.
they've been wanting to get out of that stadium forever. It's a very outdated stadium. It's not great. It's just from like an era prior. But yeah, but I mean, a heated field isn't going to do that much. It just more helps like the field conditions,
The footing and
because
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, the footing and stuff, because you're playing on frozen ground basically.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that Lambeau Field, of course, a historic stadium in Green Bay, has a heated field, but then in Buffalo, they don't have anything. It's just insane to me. But that shows how hard it is to get anything done in Buffalo, I guess, because they've been trying to get a new stadium for years and they can't do it. But
they just don't have a ton of money up there. Yeah.
I don't know. It's a lot of politics and stuff like that too.
It's
that
dealing
goes
with
into getting a new
city
stadium.
governments
Yeah.
and stuff like
Because
that.
it's
a whole big
more
thing.
of I don't necessarily know the ins and outs, but I'm pretty sure it's got to do something with obviously I don't think the owners want to pay 100% for it. They want some taxpayer money to pay. I don't know.
naturally.
I haven't really looked into it, but usually that's what it is. It's because the owners don't want to foot the whole entire bill. They want some of the city's help, but the city's like, whatever. So that's why you see most owners end up just paying it themselves, like Jerry Jones did with Jerry World.
Well,
We'll get to that.
not many owners have Jerry money though. That's the other thing.
Fair enough.
Yes.
But to the game, yeah, I agree with Kirby. Josh Allen just looked absolutely unstoppable. He was, I mean, and that's the thing with the Bills. The Bills will only go as far as he goes. So if he can keep playing at this level, I mean, they got the Chiefs this week, and we've already seen that the Bills can beat the brakes off the Chiefs. We saw it earlier in the season. Now, granted, the Chiefs weren't playing the way they're playing now, but still, I mean, and of course, there's a lot going into that game. We'll preview that later. But yeah, if Josh Allen can keep playing at this level that he's playing at now, the Bills can make a run here. They can make a run also, and when he runs, it's just. I mean, golly, he's got such long strides that I'm just like, man.
And he's a big guy. He puts a shoulder into you're going to be knocked on your ass. I mean, he's a bulldozer. He's literally a quick bulldozer. That's literally how I would describe him.
Yep.
He's just hard to bring down.
Yeah, it was just a very dominant and like very what's the word? I can't think of the word right now, but it was a very like a send a message game, like, hey, like
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
To the Patriots, like, hey, like this is our division, like this is ours now,
right?
Like, this is our era. Like you may have made a small comeback here, but Brady's gone. Like this and this is our time. And they really took it to New England. I think they really took it personally. The fact that they lost the first game, the way they lost it by Mac Jones only throwing 3 times, and they just ran it down their throats. They're like, "Oh no, you're not going to do that this time. We're going to make Mac Jones have to win this game." and Mac Jones couldn't win the game.
And you saw the disparity, yeah.
Yeah. On the Patriots, I mean, I just can't believe that I saw this out of a Bill Belichick team. It's incredible to me. I think that this is going to be a big motivator for the Patriots going forward. I don't think this is like the end of Bill Belichick. That like his reign is over. I don't think that's what it is. I think Bill's going to learn from this. I think this is a great learning experience for Mac Jones also to be like, to taste a bitter defeat like this. Because really he only played 1 year at Alabama and they went and won the national title because he had all the weapons. So now he's gonna have to learn that like it doesn't come easily like that, But yeah, I mean for the Bills, great win. Of course, like we all said, we didn't really actually watch the whole game. We kind of kept up with it. Well, Kirby went to bed. Dan played video games and I watched a movie instead. It was just not a great game in terms of competitiveness, but it was a great performance by the Bills. And
absolutely,
that's all.
A perfect game for the Bills. I mean, literally in every facet, they dominated the Patriots.
Well, they literally scored on every drive.
Yep.
Every drive they had the ball, they scored, and the only time they didn't score was at the end when they kneeled down.
Yep.
Let me ask you all one thing randomly. Just randomly, would you brave that cold weather to watch a football game?
It depends on what game. A wild card game, no. If it's like an AFC Championship game, then maybe.
If it was the Cowboys in the Super Bowl, hypothetically,
they wouldn't ever play a Super Bowl in this weather. So
it'd be inside or in Miami or something.
Yeah. They rarely played in cold weather. They did it the 1 year in New York. And then Minnesota was indoors and Detroit was indoors. But let's say if it's the Cowboys in the NFC Championship and I got offered tickets to go see him, let's say the NFC Championship game was in Green Bay and it was I would go because why not?
Absolutely, why not?
Yeah, you would just have to take a lot of precautions on how to stay warm, and
the layers and like 7 or 8 layers probably with I don't know how many gloves and So Carlos said it all. I mean, this was just a dominant performance, and you think of all the years that the Bills felt like the little brother that was just kind of getting beat around by the Patriots in that division, especially. And the Patriots dominated them many times over those years that Brady was there.
All the time.
Yep. And so this was a little bit of some sweet revenge for them to finally get a chance to show that, hey, we're not the same old Bills that we used to be with against Tom Brady and against all those really good defenses also that the Patriots had all those years. And those aren't the same Patriots teams, and you could see that. And yeah, just Josh Allen, he's just unbelievable. He literally was like a human video game. We said, or I mentioned, only 4 incomplete passes. You guys both talked about his stats, both rushing and his passing numbers as well. This is a statement. This is a statement game for the Bills to come out and say, we're legit. People have been up and down on them this year, and I know that because I've been one of those people as well. They've had some games where it's been like what the hell's going on?
Well,
but I feel like
middle of the season, remember?
But you know what? I think every contender this year has had those moments. Every contender, every team, you could say, maybe besides Green Bay. Green Bay really didn't really have any slip-ups.
Green Bay's was kind of in the beginning of the season when they got blown up by
New Orleans. People
were like,
that was the only game.
That was the beginning of the season,
right.
though, so it was a little overreaction.
That was the only game where you could say that, wow, what's going on? But yeah, I think besides that, the parity this year in the National Football League, I think that's kind of what we saw with some contenders being beat by some bad teams. And the Bills were out to show, look, we're legitimate. We're a Super Bowl threat. We know we are. Here we come. So I was just extremely impressed with them. They were like a well-oiled machine in all 3 phases. They just dominated this game. And you were exactly spot on with Mac Jones, Carlos. He's just not ready. He's not there yet. He's still got some development left to go.
He's a rookie.
He's a rookie quarterback. Exactly.
Yeah. Even Brady, when he won the Super Bowl, Brady wasn't a rookie. Brady was already 1 year in.
Right.
So he had already been in the system for a while. Now, granted, he didn't get any playing time, and then he was thrown in. But also, Brady had a very stout defense to help him win those first couple Super Bowls. So people who are trying to compare
point.
Mac Jones to Tom Brady, it just doesn't correlate.
Well, you can't compare a guy that's won 7 Super Bowls. Come on, it's just ridiculous. It's just the comparison's not there.
And Mac Jones is probably never going to live up to Tom Brady because
Never.
It's
You're never going to live up to those expectations.
It's impossible to live up to
There's
a
no
guy
chance.
who won 6 Super Bowls for one franchise
No.
and then goes off and wins another one with another.
That's right. No,
So-
you're spot on.
I'll say this because Mac Jones is a rookie. And I think this is valuable experience that he was able to get to the playoffs. And
Yes.
this is a big learning experience for him. And I think it's going to help him out in the future. And who knows, it might be a good thing.
Well,
that was my
it'll be a good
takeaway
thing.
from
It'll
the
be a good thing.
Patriots end.
Well, and it goes to show you the chemistry compared to, Josh Allen's had time to build chemistry with his offense. And we've seen that. We saw that in this game. And Mac Jones just hasn't had not even technically a full season yet to really build that rapport with his offense and all that. So it takes time, and people are so quick to jump to final judgments about a quarterback after one season or not even a full season. Because Mac Jones, he didn't start the season. So
yeah, he did.
He did.
They
Yeah,
did.
he did.
Cam Newton got cut.
That's right. But it just goes to show you that. I do think Belichick still has it. I really do. I just think this offseason they're going to play that tape again and again. And like Carlos said, it's going to be a motivating factor for them. Because if there's any coach that uses a game like this to teach his players and to send a statement, it's Bill Belichick. I mean, that's the list. So, yeah, the Patriots will be fine. They'll be okay. The Bills are a very dangerous team. They're a very dangerous team. So, simple as that.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's about it.
So the Buffalo
we
Bills
covered it so well. Yeah. Yeah.
The Buffalo Bills in the freezing cold stomped the Patriots 47-17. Folks, we have a lot more to get to. We'll take a quick break. And when we come back, more playoff football to recap. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just tell you about Regroup Building Services. If you're looking to get your home remodeled, any part of your home, bathroom, kitchen, want to get a deck built, anything like that, Regroup Building Services can just about do everything. And take it from me, because they came in and they remodeled my family's kitchen, and they do a great job. So if you're looking for any sort of home remodeling needs, deck work done, anything of that nature, reach out to my guy Sean Hibbard over at Regroup Building Services today. You can check them out on their website, www.regroupbuildingservices.com, where they do the honeydews that your honey don't. Make sure you tell them Josh sent you. Welcome back, the Kirby on Sports podcast, live on the platforms of Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you're listening, please feel free to drop a comment. Your questions are welcome. Welcomed here.
Your input.
I gotta say, Jason Uri sent me a message, and he agrees with what we've been saying about the Pats. So I just want to say that he sent me a long message, and I got a chance to
thank you, Mr. Yuri. We appreciate
it.
The support. He was one of
my
favorite teachers.
Yep.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So let's move on. Once again, Kirby on Sports Podcast Live, and one game. I mean, this was another snooze fest. 110%. I don't know why the Eagles were even let into the playoffs, because they just looked bad. I mean, was it Tom Brady and the Buccaneers just that good, or were the Eagles just that bad? I mean, there's not really much I can say positive about this Eagles.
Pause. Are you really asking that question? Come on.
It's Kirby. The Bucs. Come on.
Yeah,
it's the Bucs were better. It's actually both. It's both. The Bucs were that good, and the Eagles are that bad. Listen, the Eagles, credit to them, they got to the playoffs, right? They won the games that they needed to win to get to the playoffs. Okay. But okay, cool. I mean, the fact that people were actually giving them a shot against the Bucs, I mean, come on? Like, what are we doing here?
Brady's laughing
people-
all the way to the bank. All the way
People
to
are
the
sitting
bank.
there trying to hype up this running game. Dan Orlovsky on
He's a
ESPN is sitting there.
stooge.
He's
Guy's
a stooge. He's big stooge. But he's sitting there talking about, oh, this Eagles running attack is something that's gonna give problems to to Tampa. I never, because whenever Philly actually went up against a good team, and granted, one game against Dallas they played their backups. Fair. But then they played the other game in Dallas. They played all their starters. We beat the brakes off of them then. So it's like, from what I saw in those games, of course, like I said, granted, the second game, they didn't play any of their starters really. Okay. But from what I saw, I was like, this team can't beat the good teams. They're not going to be the one that's going to make that surprise, that Cinderella run somehow. And obviously, when you have a stooge coach like Nick Sirianni, I mean, come on. Like, really?
Yeah.
But that's all I got on that.
Well, that stooge made it into the playoffs, which I was very surprised. But
yeah, they made it in. I mean, they made it in. They won the games that they needed to win, but they just didn't beat any good teams to get there.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I
I know in
mean,
the other game, we're not going to let me talk now. We're just going to skip over me. Is that what we're doing?
sorry. Yeah, I was just going
games
to
in a row.
say Tom Brady doing Tom Brady things, the Buccaneers doing
course,
Buccaneers things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean the talent disparity was on full display in this game. Like we saw just how much better Tampa Bay is in every area than Philly. And I know we talked about this sort of with New England and Buffalo, but this is just a whole different level. Because the Eagles are below New England, and Tampa Bay is one of the elite teams, and you just saw that on the field. So that's basically all I have to say. Yeah, this was and the scoreboard was also closer because
than it should have been,
because the Eagles got those 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to sort of make it somewhat respectable.
Garbage time.
Yeah, when Tampa had already
time touchdowns. For
sure. So yeah, that's all I have to say about this game. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, and obviously Tampa's gone through a lot lately, of course, with the whole Antonio Brown situation, and then losing Chris Godwin and just other injuries, not having Leonard Fournette, and didn't they lose some linemen? No, they didn't lose linemen this game, did they?
No,
I don't think they did. I think I'm
the
thinking
Rams
of another game.
did.
Yeah,
The Rams
maybe.
lost a lineman, I think.
I can't remember.
Are you talking about the Buccaneers?
Yeah.
Tristan
Did they have any
Wirfs.
injuries?
Tristan
So
Wirfs.
they did. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You see,
Mhm.
His
I
ankle
knew.
got rolled up or something.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
he
know
got-
what
I knew they had-
he was limping. He
got
went
hurt
back
early,
in the
right?
game, but he was limping. He got
Okay.
hurt pretty early. I think like midway through the first quarter or something.
I mean, I kind of tuned this game
As the
out. At
snow
some
was coming
point because
down
it was
here.
just such a blowout. But
I mean, they
obviously,
still-
at that point, I was getting mentally ready for, the Cowboys
Was to
game, which
come.
we're about
Sorry.
to talk about, here soon. Stay tuned, folks. You're not going to want to miss that. But yeah, just not a lot to say. It was just, I know they played earlier in the season. The Eagles made it close at the end, but that was also when the Bucs weren't necessarily firing on all cylinders. But at this point, it's playoff Brady. Playoff Brady's just a different animal, and he showed it tonight. And the Bucs also, they just take it on to another level in the playoffs.
Yeah, and also the way that Brady spreads the ball around is a thing of beauty as well. I mean, obviously having all those weapons helps, but the way he's able to go to any receiver at any time on any down, it used to be just Gronk, or it used to just be Edelman with the Patriots. He'd have that one go-to guy. Now he can throw the ball to Randy Moss way back for those 2 or 3 years he was there in New England. But yeah, it's just a crazy thing. Like, he can throw the ball to anybody at any time, and he just makes receivers great. He makes receivers great. Guys you've never heard of before. Of course, all the guys on the Buccaneers, I'm pretty sure everybody knew of beforehand, but especially they know now. That's all there is to say. I mean, we see greatness when we see Tom Brady. We see the greatest of all time, and he's proving why he's the greatest of all time. And I think Tampa. They're my pick to go to the Super Bowl, and I know we're going to talk about that one step at a time. But I think they're coming together at the right time.
I have nothing more to add unless you
Yeah,
all do.
We covered that well for how lopsided that game was. I think. I really think so. So.
Yep. So we have a guy by the name of Carlos Martinez, and we will give him the floor. He's
no. I want you guys to go first. Get your thoughts out on what you thought first.
All right.
Unless you
That's
want
probably
me to
a
just
good
go
idea.
off. Unless you want me to just go off.
Well, we're gonna get
I think
your
Carlos is
soapbox.
Carlos's idea is a good one. We just give us our thoughts, not go too long, and then just give Carlos the chance to go off. That's what I think we should do.
The Cowboys and the 49ers, we'll talk about them next. For sports fans living in condominium and homeowners associations, as well as business professionals, when you need a reserve study, PM Plus Reserves has been in business since 1990. Their studies are accurate and easy to understand. Check them out when your association needs a study. www.pmplusreserves.com. You can also contact them at 703-803-8436. Once again, www.pmplusreserves.com. Dan, would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I'll go quickly.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is. I hate to say that I saw this coming. I did mention last week that I thought the 49ers are sort of a dangerous team that people are sleeping on, and I said this in the past, and Carlos got mad at me when I said this during the regular season, but I said Dallas, they're not a special team in the playoffs. They're just not. And Carlos, of course,
I don't remember
naturally
getting mad about that. I would agree with that comment. What are you talking about?
Well, at the time, you were.
I don't know if I agreed with that, but if I did, I did.
Essentially, what you said was, this year's going to be different. Essentially, that's what you said. Which, look, I think at the time, I think you were
a
right.
realist fan.
I think you were right at the time. I think Dallas, hovering in that top echelon of teams in the NFC. But this game, in my opinion, the 49ers just came out of the gates just firing on all cylinders. Dallas was flat. They were flat on offense. They were flat on defense. That usual Dallas defense that gets a big stop, the 49ers were just driving right down the field on several drives. And I kind of just felt like I don't necessarily
It
was like they were stuck.
Agree with that statement in terms of defense, because yeah, sure, the 49ers were driving, but the Cowboys defense was holding them to just field goals for the most part.
Yeah. In the first half,
we were
I'll give
getting
that
run
to
out
you.
of the building. We weren't.
No. I never.
The building. The defense
never
was making
said
the
that.
stop here and there.
I never said that. It was just they couldn't get the stop when they needed it. Is what I'm saying. And normally that Cowboys
That
defense,
one I would agree with.
we know that. Like we know what they can, how they force turnovers. We've seen it every week. Especially with your boy, he constantly comes through with big interceptions. We just didn't see that in this game, and I just felt like their defense was out of position when they needed to be in position most. They fell behind, and they just never had an answer to get back in the game. Now they clawed back into it, but the 49ers they did just enough. And look, Jimmy Garoppolo did not play well in this game. Let's face that. The running game was what gave the 49ers an opportunity. And Dallas, like I said, they running in between the tackles, Dallas kind of had no answer for that defensively. Which is surprising because normally Dallas is pretty sure-handed on defense. Also, San Francisco's defense was really, really impressive to start this game, especially. They got a lot of pressure on Dak. They really made him uncomfortable. And I don't know. It's just, yeah, Zach's right. Jimmy never plays well. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Zach. Makes a great point. Yeah, I just felt like they made Dak uncomfortable, and they never let up on that defensively. And especially early in the game, they were forcing I think they forced 2 or 3 3-and-outs on the first 4 or 5 drives or something like that. And that was it to me. It was just desire. Like if the 49ers wanted it more. That's essentially how I would describe this game. And Dallas, once again, they don't live up to the hype that they have every preseason and going into every playoffs that they are, that they're this upper tier team, and we act like that they are, but they're not a successful playoff team. They haven't been for a long time. And it sucks because that America's team moniker, they just can't seem to live up to it when it matters most. So
Funny.
that's all I have to say. Yeah.
Put it up, Kirby. Put it up. Put it up. Put it up.
His dad's coming.
Funny.
That's a good one.
I love how he basically just reworded Kirby's, his son's joke, but original, very original.
All right. He's
I lost it.
We'll let him have his moment.
Thank you all for the comments so far. We're live here.
Just lackadaisical. That's how I would describe the Cowboys. They came out lackadaisical, and the 49ers weren't. They had a ton of energy, and they had more. I don't know if it was caffeine or what, but they had more of it in their system than Dallas did. So.
Okay, so let me give you my thoughts quickly about this game. First and foremost,
I'm itching. Yeah, I'm itching. I'm itching to just to go off. But go on.
He's gonna unload.
I accept your apology. I understand.
We all have to have a good laugh.
The Niners have McCarthy's number from Zach Ruff.
Zach, explain that.
You mean over the years? Is he talking about
over the years? I would imagine. Back when he was at Green Bay?
I don't know.
Because I can't necessarily remember many Niners-Packers matchups.
So, okay, let me just give you my thoughts, and then the floor will be yours. Zeke Elliott, 12 carries, 31 yards. And only Tony Pollard with 14 yards. Why are you mixing in the run game more to give Zeke more carries and Tony Pollard more carries? I felt like if you mix in that run game,
we've been saying that every week.
I mean, I don't know why they didn't utilize Tony Pollard more.
He's a big Pollard guy, this Josh Kirby. I like it. Sorry, go ahead.
The offensive line let 5 sacks minus 40 yards for Dak Prescott. The pressure in the offensive line just could not protect Dak. And I don't know. That's another thing I didn't like. I mean, the Cowboys, the explosion wasn't there at all. And I'm looking and I'm like, oh, the Cowboys, they're going to explode because the Niners scripted their first drive completely. You could tell
hold on. Pause.
Every team does that.
Zach, really quick. The NFC Championship game, the year that you guys lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, that was not a Mike McCarthy coach team. That was a LaFleur coach team.
Oh.
It was the imprint of Mike McCarthy.
Yeah. Well, not really. By that point, LaFleur already had his.
That was a joke. Over them. That was a bad joke, but it was a joke nonetheless. Sorry, Josh. Go ahead.
Yeah,
you don't have to put up all the comments.
Yeah, but
you need to just put up the one that I was talking about. But
anyway,
just comment though, Zach.
Thanks, Zach. We really appreciate your interaction. We really appreciate you, brother. Hope you're well. But continuing. I was talking about the sacks. The offensive line wasn't there. In the explosion, you saw the 49ers script their first series. You saw how crisp, smooth the first drive.
I was going to say every team sort of scripts their first drive. But
the first drive looked impressive. I thought Dallas was going to come back and explode. But that didn't happen. I was very surprised there wasn't that much explosion. But besides the run game and the offensive line not protecting, and one more thing. Let me just make sure I have this correct.
Did they bring their benches?
They were at home. So somebody made the joke.
I was talking about the 49ers.
Somebody made the joke the Cowboys are bringing their benches to Cancun. I found that pretty funny. But anyways, besides the point, CeeDee Lamb, 1 reception for 21 yards. Amari Cooper, 6 receptions, 64 yards. Yes, he scored a touchdown. Biggest receiver, Dalton Schultz, 7 receptions, 89 yards. I mean,
that's not a good sign when Dalton Schultz is your leading receiver.
I mean, yes, Dalton Schultz is good. He's been great for the Cowboys.
But he's no Amari Cooper, and he's no CeeDee Lamb either.
Correct. Which
that's
makes
the point
no
you're making,
sense
I
to me.
think.
The only throw I saw Dak make that looked very good was that touchdown pass to Amari Cooper over that defender's head, dropped it in perfectly. Where was the rest of the explosion? I thought Dallas would have exploded and just had a great running attack, and Dak would come out and have a great passing attack. And then it comes down to the end of the game, out of timeouts. You have a quarterback sneak, and you can't get the ball snapped and spiked in time.
Yeah, let's talk about that whole sequence. What in the hell was that, man?
I have no clue. That's all I have to say. Carlos, the floor is yours.
Oh, I'm getting blown up also. Wow.
Kirby, at the end of his thing, switches to him, and then he's like, let me go back to Carlos now.
How you feeling, Carlos?
Very valid points, boys. Very valid points. But you guys missed one very crucial point.
The refs.
Are you suggesting that I'm about to blame the refs?
Not blame. Maybe just a little bit of...
Because I'm not. Because
a shadow.
It was not the refs' fault. Okay. Where to begin? The point that you guys are missing here is it's the freaking Dallas Cowboys. This has been the Cowboys for the past 27 years. They have not been to the Super Bowl since, 1996 was when they were in the last Super Bowl? It was the 95 season, but it was 96 when it happened. I was only 3-4 months old when they won the Super Bowl.
I was -1, but yes.
Yeah. I was only 3 months old when they won that Super Bowl. So, what went wrong in this game? A few valid points that you guys brought up, and they're correct, right? Except your point, Dan, about the defense. I don't necessarily agree with it. To an extent, I don't agree with it.
I just thought they struggled, but that was just me.
To an extent, I didn't agree with it.
It also depends on how you measure struggle. Like if you say struggle is
you're right that when
touchdowns,
they needed to make the biggest stops, they didn't. But why? But what happened constantly? It was the undisciplined nature of this team. What has been my biggest gripe with this Dallas team all season? Penalties. We're getting too many dumb penalties.
Over and over.
What was the downfall of this team? 14 penalties for the Dallas Cowboys in this game. 7 pre-snap penalties. That is unacceptable. You can't win a game like that. We started out the game, with an offsides penalty on defense.
Yeah.
It's incredible how undisciplined and unprepared this Dallas team looked. Zeke coming out, and this set me off also. Zeke coming out after the game saying he played with a partially torn PCL, and yet he got more carries than Tony Pollard, who was rested last week.
Yeah.
But you're going to give it to the guy who's running on a bum knee? That's arrogant of the Cowboys to not rest Zeke at that point, right? And Tony Pollard is a way more explosive back. Zeke has not been the same since he got that contract extension. And there's just so many issues with Zeke. It's just arrogance from the Cowboys to continue to play this man, despite the fact that he's hurt. And Zeke, too. It's arrogance on Zeke, too. Zeke needs to understand he hurt the team more than he helped the team. How many carries was it that he got, Kirby? I don't have the stats in front of me right now.
Zeke Elliott, 12 carries for 31 yards.
12 carries for 31 yards. And then you only give Tony Pollard 4 carries. Now, I understand. With Zeke, the reason why you're putting him mostly in the game is because of his blocking ability. And I'll give it to him. He does great on picking up blocks on blitzes. Fantastic. But when it comes to the actual run game, he has not looked the same since he got the contract extension. Zeke is washed at this point, and I'm tired of us Cowboys fans. Well, not every Cowboys fan, but I'm tired of us denying it. Here's the next point. The Cowboys ran when the Cowboys ran that design QB draw, right, which you guys were talking about at the end, with 14 seconds left, what are we doing? What are we doing there? That was and then for Mike McCarthy to come out and the excuse was, well, wouldn't you want a Hail Mary shot from the 25 instead of the 50? I would want 2 Hail Mary shots from the 50 over the 25.
Yeah.
Because that gives me 2 chances. And with our receivers, we have a chance.
You have the talent, right?
We have the talent to do it, to catch a ball. Which brings me to my next point. What the hell was Kellen Moore doing? What the hell was Kellen Moore doing in this game? Why, in the biggest games, do our stars disappear? Why do they disappear? Like, yes, agreed, especially against garbage Niners secondary. It's incredible to me that we have, Amari, or it's incredible to me that teams like Green Bay scheme ways to get Devontae Adams the ball. Why are we not scheming ways to get CeeDee Lamb involved? Why are we not scheming ways to get Amari Cooper involved? Obviously Michael Gallup is injured, so you can't put that. Like, what are we doing? This has been the biggest issue for the Cowboys all season, is that they're not getting this involved, but also the stars aren't helping themselves get involved also, but I digress to that. It's just so much anger was coursing through my veins in this game because we hired Mike McCarthy, and Mike McCarthy is one of my biggest losers in this game because he was brought in for this situation because he's been to the top of the mountain. He's led Green Bay multiple times to successful seasons. And some, of course, would say, Mike McCarthy should have won more Super Bowls because he had a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. I'll give you guys that. He should have. But he's constantly gotten them to at least the NFC Championship game. And that was the goal of this season, right? Was for the Cowboys, for this to be a successful season, Dallas needs to get past the divisional round. But it was just the same old Cowboys. And it's incredible to me. And we also talked about time management being an issue. It's incredible to me that Dallas wasted a whole minute in this game with that fake punt and that whole sequence. That's another issue I had. They throw that fake punt, they get it, and then what do? They just leave the special teams out there trying to get all cute, trying to force Kyle Shanahan to call a timeout. Kyle Shanahan doesn't fall for it. Why don't you have a play ready to go then? If he's not going to call a timeout, why is there not a number one? Why is CeeDee Lamb not out there? Why is Amari Cooper not out there, pretending to be a gunner? And being out there for that situation so that when we get into that, once we get the fake punt successfully, and then we go to line up, and then they don't call a timeout, why don't we have a CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper going up against a fifth string defensive back that he's going to light up, and why don't we just throw it over the top to him? What are we doing? This has been the same old Cowboys since I became a fan in 2007, since when I really started watching football. In 2007, what happened? We lost to the Giants in the first round. We were 13-3 that year, and we were the best team in the NFC by far, and then we blow it to the Giants. There's only been a few years that I really felt like Dallas had a chance. This was one of the years.
One of the best teams they've had. Yep.
Yeah, 2016 was one of the years. Now, granted, that one was a little shaky, but that was the 14-2 year where we made the comeback against Mike McCarthy, ironically, and Green Bay, and then we lost it because of the miraculous throw to.
That's right. Dez.
I can't remember. No, not Dez. That was 2014. I was going to get to that one. This was the one. This was Dak's first year. When Romo got hurt, and then Dak came in, and then he went on the tear. And that was Zeke's. I think that was Zeke's first year too, and
they both came in as rookies. Yep.
But yeah, we were 14-2 that year, and Aaron Rodgers of course owns Dallas also, so he beat us. And of course there was the 2014 season where that was a catch by Dez Bryant, but of course it was called not a catch. So that one we got kind of screwed out of that because we were driving to I can't remember if it was to win the game or tie the game anymore. And of course, like I said, the 2007 season where, the Giants, of course, went on that Cinderella run. But for me, it's like, okay, it's clear Mike McCarthy is not necessarily the best at time management because he wasted a whole minute there with that fake punt, back to the fake punt. And we could have really used all that time trying to make that comeback, and of course it would have been pivotal if we would have had more time on the clock when we ran that QB draw. So what needs to be fixed in Dallas? Well, it's easy. We need to get a guy we need to get a time management coach whose literal job is just to manage the clock, and Mike McCarthy has to listen to him.
Assistant coach.
And two, Dallas needs to get rid of Kellen Moore. Whether it be he gets a head coaching job somewhere. If he doesn't get a head coaching job, I don't want him back because he's not ready for this. He's not. And we've praised him as the golden boy, the golden child,
He's no Sean McVay. He's no Sean McVay. He's no Kyle Shanahan.
But think about this. He's only been coaching for 3 years.
Yeah, right. He was a Cowboys quarterback.
But not only that, we made him offensive coordinator after just 1 year of coaching.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing? And especially with the talent that he had on this offense and the issues that we persistently saw, Kellen Moore just cannot adjust, it feels like. And that's the problem here. The Cowboys didn't adjust. And the fact that, and defensively too, the fact, worked to stop the run more because we knew, Jimmy G's not going to beat us. If our job was to stop the run and not Jimmy, not worry about Jimmy Garoppolo throwing because ultimately we saw when Jimmy Garoppolo started throwing. Yeah, we needed to stop the run, but for some reason Dallas didn't play that way. Dallas started playing more to the pass for some reason. I just didn't understand the game plan. I didn't understand how Dallas was so unprepared for this situation, and it all just comes down to the coaches. Now I love Dan Quinn, but I think Dan Quinn didn't necessarily have the best game. But still, the defense held up and kept us in this game when we needed them to. And just Kellen Moore, just offensively, I think he's got to go. And I know there's a report out there saying that if anybody was going to replace Mike McCarthy, Jerry Jones is going to replace him with Kellen Moore. And I put on some fan boards. I put on some fan boards that hey, if this happens, I'm done with Dallas. I'm done. I will rescind my fanhood until they get it right.
Oh no. Round 2 of rescinding the fanhood if that happens.
Listen, I really should rescind my fanhood now. We Dallas fans have accepted this mediocrity for too long. How is it that you can win 5 Super Bowls, in the 1900s, but then since the turn of the decade you can't win anything? Think about that. The 1900s, they won 5 Super Bowl in the 1900s, but then in the 2000s they can't win jack. They can't win jack. We haven't been to a championship game since we won a Super Bowl. We haven't been close. We're like, I don't know. It's just there's just so much that runs through my head when I think about this game, and I'm just like, at this point, it was do or die, and we came out looking like we did against the Broncos. We just came out flat. How did we come out flat? Why is it? We're paying Dak Prescott $40 million this year. I think it was $37 million, but whatever, we'll round it up to $40 million, right? There's only 3 quarterbacks that are making that much, 2 of which, have, been to, AFC championship games, and 1 has won a Super Bowl, and Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Only those 2 make as much as Dak Prescott. Why does Dak Prescott deserve all this money? This was the time he was supposed to show why we paid him all that money, and he came up short. This 49ers team was not better than us. We were way better than this 49ers team, but we got in our own way. And as per usual, that's what happens. Dallas gets in their own way, and Jerry Jones needs to and this team then in the postgame blaming the refs when in reality all these penalties were self-inflicted. Offsides, false starts.
How many false starts did they have?
How many holdings? A defensive holding by Randy Gregory that made no sense in that situation.
First play of the game. First play of the game.
First play of the game was offsides.
Neutral zone infraction.
Neutral zone infractions. All that stuff. They were all 7 pre-snap penalties, boys. 7 pre-snap penalties.
Inexcusable.
How
For a
are
playoff
we in
team.
the playoffs?
Inexcusable.
And we play like this. 100. We led the league with 127 penalties this season. We were the number 1 penalized team. Now, granted, like games like the Thanksgiving game, that was ridiculous. How we were getting, they were getting all those pass interference calls on us, right? That was ridiculous. But this game, no, it was officiated correctly. Dallas shot themselves in the foot here. It was not the ref's fault, and any fan that sits there and blames the ref also is part of the problem in Dallas. We need to hold this team accountable.
Accountability is everything.
And we need to stop letting them off the hook here. We need to stop going. We need to stop being like, well, there's always next year. No, this was supposed to be the year we at least made it to the NFC Championship game. This was our best opportunity to do it. There's no dominant team to face. We have so many cap issues coming up. We're not going to be able to keep all this talent. We're probably going to lose Dan Quinn this offseason too for a head coaching job. This was it. This was the opportunity. This was our best shot at it. And we came up short. And I'm tired of people letting him off the hook. I'm tired of letting Jerry Jones off the hook. If he wants to win hold that trophy one more time before he calls it, and before he calls it, I don't know where else to go with that statement. But before he calls it, he's got to get this team's culture correct, because this is unacceptable. Mike McCarthy, I don't know what the hell you've been doing this season, but you were not the head coach in this situation. The fact that you couldn't rally these boys together, and it never looked like he did, and get this team back on track is ridiculous. And the fact that he okayed that quarterback draw with 14 seconds, and then just that whole sequence, it was just the perfect way for the Cowboy season to end. Honestly, that's how it should have ended, with that way, just utter with undiscipline, unreadiness. This is how it was going to end. This is how it was always going to end, to be honest, if you really think about it. And it's just so frustrating, because this team, year in and year out, just gives you, I think that's just the worst part, is they give us hope. They give us hope that, hey, maybe this time we're going to actually do it. And then they just break our little hearts all the time. Just like Stephen A. says there, the accident waiting to happen, and the accident happened. And it was Mike McCarthy. And we knew it was going to eventually happen, that he was going to cost us a game due to time management. Boom. This is what happened.
So, yeah, the thing for me, going back to the pre-snap penalties, I put that directly on the coaching and undisciplined. And it goes to show, because if you're not constantly in practice, like making sure your team is disciplined to stay on sides and not commit the pre-snap penalties. Because in practice, I've been a part of a team. Yes, it wasn't a pro team, as an equipment manager. So I know stuff like this goes on. So for them to have these pre-snap penalties, that goes back on the coaching, in my opinion, because you have to preach. The fact of the matter is that we need to stay on sides. We need to stop doing these pre-snap penalties.
But what was the problem, Kirby? What's the problem? Everybody else sees this. All of us out here see this. The only people that don't see this problem is the Dallas Cowboys themselves.
Are sitting in Arlington.
What are they do? Well, they're sitting in Frisco, where the Star is. But whatever. No. But that's just besides the point.
It's all Jerry World to me.
Yeah, but what did they do after the game? What are they still doing? They're still blaming the refs. Being like, and blaming that, and the whole thing that happened after the quarterback draw with the umpire. That's the rule. The umpire has to touch the ball. We don't set the ball. The umpire has to touch it. Now, granted, on that, after that fake punt, and then when we switched out teams, yeah, sure. Did the umpire, cost us that delay of game penalty? Sure, I'll give him that one. But what happened after that quarterback draw was correct. That's how it needed to be done. The umpire has to touch the ball. He has to touch it. And I'm just tired of Dallas making excuses for these losses and not coming out and being like, hey, we messed up. We screwed this opportunity. We threw it away. This is our fault. If they would have come out and said that, everybody would respect them 100 times more. But what are they doing? They're whining. They're complaining about the refs. It's just like the refs didn't lose you this game. You guys lost it. 7 pre-snap penalties, 14 penalties overall. You're not going to win a game that way. You're not. It's just not going to happen. And I'm tired of Dallas doing this. And that's why I'm saying Jerry Jones needs to get this franchise under control.
You're all good.
Under control. Because and we need the culture set to where we need to be more disciplined, because this is ridiculous. We're not going to win a Super Bowl so long as this is the culture here.
Yeah, I'm just going to make 2 small points. One is about Kellen Moore. This is a pretty bad audition when you're trying to go for a head coaching job, especially when you just interviewed with Denver today, actually. First of all, why would Denver offer him the head coaching position? If they do, I'll be very surprised. And then secondly, I just want to say about Jerry Jones, when does he start to take some responsibility? Because he's always dodging criticism of Dallas, and he always kind of puts it back on the coaching staff and the players. He has his fingers in everything Dallas does. There's not a thing that goes on in those buildings that he doesn't know about. Why doesn't he take more heat for that, and why doesn't he take some more accountability and responsibility for that?
That's
instead
a good
of
question.
When he just pushes it immediately back on the coaches or the lack of execution or undisciplined play? It starts at the top. In every good organization, it starts at the top, and sometimes you have to look in the mirror, and I think that's what Jerry Jones has to do.
Yeah, and I would agree with you there. And like, yeah, we had, obviously as Cowboy fans, we're thankful for Jerry Jones for what he's built, but what he's done with the Cowboys since he got the Cowboys, in the late 80s when he bought them. Because he's made the Dallas, an empire basically. We're the most popular team in the league. We always have the highest ratings. We're always in primetime games. We have one of the greatest stadiums in the world, even though it's built really dumb, with the sunlight coming in, which costed us that one play. But that's always been an issue since like 2009 when the stadium opened. But that's besides the point. Buy some curtains, Jerry Jones. Geez, stop being so cheap.
Who designs a stadium going east to west?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
No idea.
I mean,
Dallas.
Just Dallas. That's who. It's just, the thing is ever since Jimmy Johnson left, and that one obviously the third Super Bowl we didn't win with Jimmy Johnson, but it was the bones of Jimmy Johnson's teams that won that Super Bowl. But ever since Jimmy Johnson, the only type of coach that Jerry Jones hires is a bunch of yes men. And honestly, Mike McCarthy's a yes man. He pretty much, he works at the whims of Jerry Jones basically. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the issue that's been the issue in Dallas is there's been nobody to really step up to Jerry Jones and like fight back on anything. Yeah,
they don't challenge him at all. They're scared to because he's got all the money and all the power.
He's got all the power in that team.
That's it.
I think he's in his 70s now. I mean, it's just you can't keep doing this, Jerry. Like, do you want that trophy or not? Like, you're going to eventually relinquish control of this team. Hire a general manager who knows what they're doing. Let's get a general manager. Let's get somebody who knows what, let's get a coach who's going to, just pull this team together, because clearly I'm not saying Mike McCarthy should be fired. I'm not one of those people who are saying he should be fired after this, but I'm definitely think he's on the hot seat next season, because now he's got to prove that, okay, you got us to the playoffs, that it's not a fluke, and that you can get us to the promised land, that you can at least get us to the championship game. That's all I was asking for. I just wanted to make this the NFC championship game, and I was going to be happy, because I'm tired of winning a wild card game and then losing in the divisional round. I want to actually feel like a meaningful playoff run, because there's nothing like Dallas being in the playoffs. Like the playoffs seem boring to me now, because the team that I'm so invested in isn't in. Now, of course, obviously I'm wearing a Chiefs jersey. I'm still invested in the Chiefs, but not the same way that I'm invested in Dallas. Mm-hmm. That's my childhood team. That's my first love. I've come to love the Chiefs, because of their play style, and because they won't break my heart. They're a successful team, but like, I want to feel like, like Dan, you felt it with the Ravens when they won the Super Bowl. Like, how great was that feeling?
It was like nothing I'd ever felt in sports before, ever.
And like,
It was insane.
yeah, and it's just like for me, like as a Dallas fan, I've never felt like me and Kirby. Of course, Kirby's team is Washington. Like we've never had that feeling of like this could really be it. Like we're just like they have all the momentum going for them.
That's it. Yeah.
I mean, granted, I kind of have an idea because the Capitals and the Nationals.
But I'm talking about
won,
for football.
But for football, I feel like it's intensified 100 times over
because of how big the Super Bowl is. I mean,
yes.
it's a spectacle in and of itself. So, yeah, I totally agree with everything you're saying, Carlos. And yeah, I do think Jerry Jones, he has to face up to some of this stuff, and I definitely agree. Mike McCarthy he's got to stand up and defend himself a little bit because you're exactly
not
right.
Even defend himself, just take some accountability here,
right,
and understand that you messed up.
Right.
That this whole, and it's not just Mike McCarthy, the whole coaching staff messed up. The whole team messed up. The whole organization messed up.
Right.
They botched this opportunity. Think about, this was the best opportunity Dallas has had in years. Where we could have where any team can legitimately be beat. There's no powerhouse. There's no Seattle with their, Legion of Boom. There's no Tom Brady and the Patriots, because the Buccaneers are so hobbled. Like we could have gone to Tampa Bay. We could have been in this Tampa Bay game this week.
You almost beat them already this year.
And we almost beat them while they were full strength. They're missing people. We could have beat. I really give Dallas a good chance at beating this Tampa team the way they are now. But they missed that opportunity, and it all also stems from losing that number 2 seed when they lost to Arizona. Mm-hmm. Because then we would have had a game against the Eagles, and then it would have been a lot better because we know we can beat the Eagles, and that would have been a good warm-up game to get really going again. And then we would have faced Tampa. We could have or at that point, I don't know if we would have faced Tampa, but we would have still had another home game going into the divisional round. And then the only game that would be of concern would be the championship game against Green Bay if Green Bay made it. That's my point, is so many missed opportunities this season, and it was just a waste. This season ended up just being a waste. And now think about how much is going to happen between now and the next time the playoffs come around. Is Dallas even going to be able to make the playoffs next year? The NFC East is going to get better. There's so many great draft picks about to come in. The Eagles are going to retool. The Giants are, the Giants, it just depends on where they go. The
Eagles are already pretty close. They just need a couple more players.
They have some high draft picks. Washington is going to start to figure
They're going to crap the bed again, Carlos. Let's just get that straight.
Maybe, but what I'm saying is but still. Jeez. Well, but still, like they could still get their stuff together. It's just this was the best opportunity for Dallas, and they botched it. And
totally agree.
And this is the last thing I'm gonna say about this, and then we can move on because we've been on the Cowboys 49ers for too long. I'm just gonna go back to my point. We as fans need to start holding this team more accountable. We have invested so much time and energy into this team. We spend every Sunday rooting for them. Obviously, fans buy tickets to that beautiful stadium, which obviously is on my bucket list. I want to go there one day.
We'll get you.
And we're constantly we're constantly promised, promised that things are different this time around, and we just get more of the same. It's time that we put our foot down as fans and start holding Jerry Jones accountable. And Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys accountable, and stop letting them get away with these dumb excuses. And they need to start finally looking at themselves to fix the problems that is wrong with the Dallas Cowboys. Until we do that, I don't think Dallas is ever going to win.
Nothing's going to change. I agree. I think we can move on now. That was a good close.
I have one point that has nothing to do with any of the plays in the games. I want to pose one question to each of you. Mm-hmm. How did you like Tony Romo's broadcasting in this game?
I didn't mind it.
Yeah,
I love Tony Romo. I love Tony Romo.
Thought he was pretty fair.
Really? Yeah, because I heard a lot of people saying how Tony Romo seemed one-sided towards the Dallas Cowboys the entire game.
He played his whole career with Dallas.
I also heard the opposite. I heard people say that he was rooting for Dallas's downfall. So it just depends on who you listen to. Everybody's going to have opinions that are opposite with that sort of stuff.
Who cares? Ultimately, the commentary doesn't matter.
I tell you what,
nothing in the game.
I'll tell you what, he's a hell of a lot better than Drew Brees. Oh my God, is Brees bad? Brees is terrible.
Yeah, he needs more reps. Brees needs more reps.
So many awkward silences where Mike Tirico would have to talk. But anyway, that's a side note.
That's besides the point. But anyways,
yeah. Let's get back to our normal box. Here we go.
Yep, back to normal.
Put
Carlos,
me back in my
I'm glad you got your soapbox opportunity. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, there's still more playoff football to talk about, and we have more for you right after this. Is it finally time to upgrade your home's interior? How about with an authentic farm table made locally from recycled barn wood? Shenandoah Primitives, based right here in Winchester, Virginia, makes farm tables, benches, tables, coffee tables, and a long list of other items for your home decorating needs. At Shenandoah Primitives, function and style are combined for great furniture that will last generations. If you're interested in combining the industrial look of metal with wood, or considering something incredibly unique with a live edge, Shenandoah Primitives turns those ideas into reality. Thinking about a mirror, wine rack, or other accent piece for your home, Shenandoah Primitives can assist with that as well. As a local small business, Shenandoah Primitives is happy to work with each client for a custom design or schedule an appointment to come out and view current inventory. Local, high-quality, handmade items can be found at Shenandoah Primitives. Find us on Facebook and Instagram or visit us at www.shenandoahprimitives.com. Once again, that's www.shenandoahprimitives.com. Once again, the Kirby on Sports podcast is live. I'm with the Weapon Dan Demski and the Swiss Army Knife Carlos Martinez. Once again, your comments are welcome. Drop comments down below. Your questions are appreciated. Your feedback is appreciated as well.
Hey, really quick before we move on. Dak did just put out a statement. He basically apologized to the refs. He said, "I deeply regret the comments I made regarding the officials after the game on Sunday. I was caught up in the emotion of a disappointing loss, and my words were uncalled for and unfair." Of course, he's talking about his comments about the fans throwing the, garbage at the refs. And then
didn't want to get that pretty little fine. I see him.
I mean, he's probably going to get fined anyways. I mean, you still made the comments, but yeah, I mean, they were totally uncalled for. No, I mean, I understand that fans are mad, but let's keep it classy, Dallas. This isn't soccer in the Central American region where they love throwing trash and bags of pee at players.
It's not Lincoln Financial Field either. So
that too. We're not Philly. We don't throw snowballs at Santa.
Carlos, I think it's time we do our bit once again.
Get ready.
And
the home of the Chiefs. The Kansas City
I love
Chiefs.
that.
It was a very tough game. No, I'm kidding. There was a pick six. It was a fumble.
No, it was a fumble. Yeah.
Yes,
Big
it was.
Ben went out in style.
Steelers out early, 7-0, and then the Chiefs just turned the Jets on immediately after that. Before even going into this game, Big Ben knew that they didn't have a chance. He was Let's just go out and have fun. I love those comments because
when you say that before the game, yeah, it's just so great. Like when the quarterback says, "Yeah, we don't have a chance. Let's go have fun." Like what?
I mean, let's be honest. He didn't really think he was gonna be in this position to play in the playoffs.
That's also a good point. They needed some stuff to happen.
They needed a lot of things to happen. They needed the Colts to lose, and then they needed the Chargers and Raiders not to tie.
And they struggled to beat Baltimore, so that's the other thing too.
So
sadly.
So yeah, I mean, yes, those comments. I thought it was crazy, and I was thinking of myself.
It's rare.
What?
You never hear a quarterback say that.
What if the Steelers actually pull it off? I was
I wouldn't have
thinking that in the back of my head, which didn't happen.
It actually did get a little dicey because it's not as if like Kansas City just came out and started blowing them out. It was, I mean, Pittsburgh actually kept it pretty close. Yeah,
that first quarter.
And then of course, then there was the fumble for a touchdown. So they kept it interesting, and I was like, oh man, is this really about to happen right now? And then of course the Chiefs turned it on, and the rest is history.
Patrick Mahomes, that stat line looks pretty saucy. Big Ben, not an interception thrown, but about 215 yards in the air.
Good send-off.
Congratulations. You didn't throw a pick in your last game.
I mean, I just have to say, if this was Big Ben's last game,
it is Big Ben's last game. Come on. He's basically confirmed it.
He can barely move in the pocket. He can barely move.
He can barely throw.
He didn't officially announce it. That's why I said maybe.
He's officially announced it, basically.
He's like Drew Brees at the end of last season. Like, we saw how bad Drew Brees
Okay, he's going to retire. That was his last game.
Yeah.
What a great career.
Why are you getting so mad about it? Somebody really loves Big Ben here, and it's that guy.
Because I know
he's a Big Ben stan.
I enjoyed watching him play back in the day. Back when
for sure
they
I never
Super Bowl against the Seahawks. I like
which
that
they got lucky in, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, that Super Bowl was boring.
We're going way back, but
43 was a lot better. That was a fantastic.
Yeah, that was a
Big
much
Ben
better one
against the Cardinals. That was a great game and a fantastic performance by Big Ben.
I mean, just his send-off, his final send-off. It was just great to see Big Ben in the playoffs one last time.
As a Ravens fan, I humbly disagree, but that's okay.
As a I want to see a competitive game of football fan. No. It was not great to see him in the playoffs.
Because of all the pieces that had to fall for the Steelers to get into the playoffs. Even though they lost, they made it to the playoffs, and Mike Tomlin upholds his
fantastic,
numerous consecutive years without a losing season.
Fantastic.
But besides that, the Chiefs killed the Steelers.
Yeah.
They killed them. I mean, it was next man up. You have Jerick McKinnon coming out. I mean, because the Chiefs running back core was not 100% healthy. I'll let you touch on that more. Travis Kelce threw a touchdown. And he had a receiving touchdown, 108 yards.
And shout out to his mom for flying from Tampa.
My gosh, I was just about to say that.
And then to also ask him a question in the press conference was very, very, very awesome.
Yeah, that's
his mom.
Shout out to Mama Kelsey.
Crazy.
Tampa Bay to Kansas City in a day. I've never
it's not
heard
that far
of
a flight, but
logistics wise, but.
It worked out luckily because, of course, Tampa Bay was the early game, and then Kansas City's game was the late game, so it worked out perfectly for him.
But all I'm gonna say, the Chiefs killed the Steelers. Happy retirement, Big Ben. Carlos, go ahead with your home of the Chiefs. Okay, go ahead, Dan.
You're gonna skip me again. It's like I don't exist. I'm just giving you a hard time. Joe Burrow, haircut. Let me just say this. I'll start with this. Listen, some players like Ray Lewis, they get that special send-off, right? That's that magic run to the Super Bowl. And then you have Big Ben. Just not that. So, yeah, this was just a total and utter mismatch. One thing I do want to say that's maybe not as obvious is how well the Kansas City kind of shut down TJ Watt. Like, he was not that effective in this game. He only had 3 tackles and 1 sack. Mm-hmm. They really blocked him well. And that's huge. If you're going to beat Pittsburgh, if you're going to do well against this defense, it starts with slowing him down. And we've seen all season long, he's very difficult to slow down once he gets going. And that was the thing to me. They never let him get going. They were on him the entire game. So I'll just say that because that might be something that you guys maybe weren't going to bring up. But other than that, for me, this was just a complete and utter domination by Kansas City. Like I think we all thought it was going to be. I think we all said that this game was going to be a
I mean, we all
blowout.
picked the Chiefs to win, so
Right. So that's a clean sweep. So yeah, it's and they're Kansas City is, I mean, they're always there. They're always in it. They've been in it the last 4 years now,
Yep.
and they're extremely dangerous. They're extremely dangerous. I think a lot of people are going to say they're going to be in the Super Bowl. I think it's going to come down to them in Buffalo, obviously, like it has, in
they're playing
the last couple
this
years.
round,
So.
are
True,
you backing
true.
off your Titans pick?
We haven't seen Derrick Henry in so long. I don't know.
Well, we're about to find out here in a little bit when we have to make our picks. But
I'm a little not feeling so great about the Titans, but we'll see. They had that extra week of rest, so it's that's another thing. It's like hard to tell, like where are they, because I'm not watching them practice. So,
yep.
But no, in this particular game, yeah, it was just Kansas City just having a ball on offense. And that's essentially what this game was to me, and kind of flexing their muscles a little bit and saying, no, Big Ben's not going to go out on top. He's going to go out in despair. And they made sure from start to finish that's kind of how this game was going to be. Even though it was a very dicey start to this game, and like we said, the first points were that direct snap fumble. So, yeah, that's I don't have much to say about this game. It was utter domination. I'll also say Pittsburgh couldn't get the running game going at all. Just 29 yards for Najee Harris. He's kind of the future of this team in a way. Of this offense, I should say, rather.
Just depends whoever they get to replace Big Ben, of course.
Exactly right. I think it's going to be, they're going to be asking the next quarterback to not throw it nearly as much as Big Ben has had to throw it over the years. I don't know how his arm still works after all the 40 and 50 pass games that Big Ben had in his career there. So that's all I'm going to say. It was just a complete and utter mismatch, and the Chiefs took advantage of it. And it was a good old fashioned whooping. Carlos?
Yeah, go ahead, Carlos.
I mean, what else is there to say? I mean,
Yeah.
Kansas City just beat the brakes off the Steelers. We beat them so bad we ran out of fireworks. But we kept.
Oh yeah, that was a funny comment. We ran out of fireworks. Sorry.
Yeah, on the scoreboard, that's so, on the jumbotron, that's so great. It's so great.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. The Chiefs did Chiefs things. They dominated the Steelers like we all thought they were. They would. I mean, there's not really much to talk. I mean, I will make a.
Agreed.
I mean, your whole thing about shutting T.J. Watt down really shows that the investment they made into the offensive line this offseason is really starting to pay off, because we saw what happened last year when they lost all their linemen.
Yeah, right.
They
got dominated.
They got dominated, and that's why they weren't that competitive in the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that they would have won if they would have had their whole line, but it would have been a lot closer.
It would have been a closer game. You can't deny that.
So, yeah, and it just seems like Kansas City's firing on all cylinders. They have the very tough opponent coming up, of course, that's already beaten them in Arrowhead also, mind you. But, of course, they weren't playing the same way they're playing now. We'll get more into that here in a little bit. But,
it's going to be fun.
Yeah, there's not really much to say. Kansas City, did what they should have done, and here they are.
All right. Well,
last game, right?
Yeah.
One more game. We'll talk about it right now. But first, I'm going to go on a 10-minute rant, a long rant on how I don't want there to be another Monday Night Football wild card.
I second the motion.
Yes.
Approved.
I mean, we were texting about it.
Terrible.
Mondays usually suck at my job. And I come home drained. I feel terrible. I mean, as in I just want to go to bed. And here I am feeling obligated as a sports podcaster that comes out here each and every week to try to bring my fans, my listeners, the best content. And I just praised the man upstairs for this game being a blowout so I could go to bed.
In the second quarter. It was great.
Yeah, because I was like, okay, yep, this is a blowout. I'm going to bed. Because I fell asleep on my couch during pregame. And I woke up and there was kickoff. I was like, I just keep watching. My eyes are getting heavier and heavier. No joke. I don't know why, but Mondays just kill me. And to have a wild card game on Monday where it could have been a close game and I could have lost a lot of sleep. Thank God that didn't happen. I just don't want to see another Monday night wild card game. Regular season Monday night games, they're fine because I don't really have an issue.
They're still hard to watch themselves.
Yeah, I know. I don't
The
have an
matchups are
issue
bad,
because
too.
I don't feel as bad
A lot of times.
going to sleep.
Uh-huh.
You know, a wild card game, a playoff game. I feel like I am doing my listeners, my fans, a great disservice if I fall asleep during a playoff game.
Well, the
And
nice
that
thing is
my
with all
rant on Monday night wild card.
Hold on, Dan. Before you go, my only pushback to this whole the whole disservice thing. You fell asleep during the Patriots Bills game earlier on a Saturday.
How is that not a disservice, right?
How is that not a disservice? We all did something else. That's my point.
That's
That was
just
my
how
point
I
there.
feel.
That's the only thing I had to push back on.
And you can
Go on.
find condensed games anywhere for free. So if you really wanted to watch
You just watch the highlights.
every little
online
highlight, you could have seen it. And people aren't going to be like, what happened on a third down in the third quarter with 12-14? Nobody gives a damn about that. It's just about the outcome and about the stuff that led to the outcome. The big
Honestly,
stuff.
that's kind of what I do during the regular season. I just watch highlights. We don't
Yeah.
watch
So how do we like this game, boys?
Oh God, it was terrible. Also,
Yeah.
can we stop trying to compare?
Instead.
Like, I know this is a tired take from Ravens fans, but I'm so tired of people who would say they would take Kyler Murray over Lamar Jackson when Lamar was in the playoffs his rookie season. And sure, he didn't play great, but Lamar has never had a playoff game that was as bad as Kyler Murray was in this game. Kyler Murray was awful in this game. Terrible. That's all I'm going to say from that side of it. And then on the other end
The
of
fact
it,
that
the
Dallas
Rams,
lost to Kyler Murray still blows my dang on mind.
I don't know how that happened, man.
Kyler's just. I'm sorry. I think he does have a lot of talent. I just don't think he has. I just don't think he has what it takes to. I mean, think about it. What does he really do without DeAndre Hopkins? Nothing. They lost to the Seahawks. Granted, they beat the Cowboys, but the Cowboys more beat themselves in that game.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. And the fact that the Cardinals had less than 200 yards of total offense, which this day and age is, how is that even possible? Well, it's possible because, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go.
I was going to say, you had less than 100 yards rushing, and then you only have 122 passing yards. It's just crazy. But yeah, the Rams were dominant in every fashion in this game, and this was a blowout at halftime. This game was over at 21-0 at halftime.
Pretty much.
And then the Rams came out and ensured that in the third quarter. So yeah.
I saw the funniest video clip. It's it was Russell Wilson because he was on the main cast and he's talking about if I was Kyler right now, I would be like walking up and down the sidelines, clapping my hands, going, there's still a chance, there's still hope, there's still a chance, because at that point it was, it's still, they would take a miraculous comeback, but at least being an optimist. And then while he's saying that, they cut to Kyler Murray and he's just sitting on the bench,
right,
just dumbfounded.
All by himself. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I didn't really pay attention to this game too much. Once I saw it was 21-0, I was like, this game is over. I was like, I was more interested in what the guests were saying on the Manning cast because I watched the Manning cast instead. The Rock was on there. Fantastic.
Yes.
The Rock
that was one of the best Manning casts yet.
Shout out to his Tyrannosaurus Rex head that he has in the back. I want one day.
Shout out to him cursing again. Them catching a hot mic.
Shout out to Manning. Shout out to Peyton Manning.
I couldn't hear shit. Yeah, that was great.
There's our FCC violation fine right there, Kirby.
And then Eli was like, "Oh, never mind."
Never mind. Yeah, great. I'm gonna miss the Manning casts for sure, but
so great. I love it.
But yeah, I mean, not much. I mean, congratulations, Matthew Stafford and Odell Beckham Jr. You guys finally won a playoff game. And Odell getting your first playoff touchdown.
Long suffering, 13 years in the league, and he's got his first playoff win. So hats off to Matt
Awesome.
Stafford.
Yeah, but now they have the pleasure of. Well, I mean, they've beaten Tampa Bay already, but that was earlier in the season. But now they have the pleasure to go, go
Yeah.
down to Tampa. So
I'm not as confident this time around.
there's not a whole lot to really say. The Cardinals played bad.
They were
I'm
terrible.
surprised considering J.J. Watt came back and he just couldn't even get this team motivated to do anything. But hey,
I think he's kind of done, to be honest. Yeah.
Glad to see that Buda Baker, of course, is fine. He was released from the hospital. That was a very scary injury, very scary moment in the game. I'm glad that he was released from the hospital, so he's going to be okay. So hope for a speedy recovery for him. But yeah, aside from that, there's not much to say. The Cardinals just got completely stomped by the Rams.
My question, why would Eric Weddle come out of retirement?
Why
Because
not?
he wants a championship.
He wants a ring.
I
Wouldn't you?
love Eric Weddle, man. Don't you talk bad about Eric Weddle.
I mean, he was
They're-
good,
Great
but
player.
I was like out of the blue.
They have
I was
injuries at
exciting
safety.
him.
They have injuries
Yeah,
at
they asked-
safety.
Yeah, they have a lot of depth
so they
problems.
reached out to him. They were like, "Hey, you still healthy? Like,
You in
are
football
you still in
shape,
football
bud?"
shape?"
Yeah,
He was like, "Yeah, he can." So they're like, "All right, well, we need a
love
safety."
that guy. He's
Yeah.
great.
I see no issues with him coming back.
I,
mean, he
I
only
don't
has to
see
play for the
issues.
postseason.
I was like, I was
Oh,
just
the way you presented the question,
Right.
why would he come back? That's literally the way you said it. Why would he come back? As if like it's a
Who would
bad
do
thing
such
he
a
came
thing?
back.
Yeah,
Why would he
right.
collect a big paycheck
That's
and
what I was
only have
gonna
to
say,
play
like,
in the and only
yeah,
have
the
to
money-
play
the
a
money
few
is no
games
object.
and make a run to the Super Bowl? Why would any man ever
How
do that?
dare you?
it's just funny. in my
surprising
mind,
because
some
of how
these
old he is.
Coming
No,
out
I'm
of
with you.
retirement
I'm with you.
situations
I'm
that
with you.
happen.
I
It's
don't
just
see
very
what's so funny
unique,
about
in
it.
my opinion.
Yeah, at least he's not Brett Favre and retire like
Brett
8 times.
Favre.
Anyway,
But- Yeah, I don't really have much to say.
No,
I think
about
that's it.
Congratulations to the Rams.
Yeah.
Oh, boys. Oh, boys. That was all the wild card action. We
was so
will
long.
take a quick commercial break to hear from Dr. Dave, Leadership Corporation, and then we will give you a preview and our picks from the divisional round.
Somebody
Hey,
call me a
sports
doctor.
fans. Thank you for listening to and supporting the Kirby on Sports podcast with founder and host Josh Kirby, along with lead contributor Dan Demski. Like, subscribe, and give them a 5-star rating wherever you get your podcast from. My name is Dr. Dave Miles, founder of Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation. Our company helps leaders build engaged and productive teams. Exclusively for listeners of the Kirby on Sports podcast, you can take an opportunity to discover your primary communication style and learn more about effective communication with others. Text Kirby to 757-903-0743 for your free copy of the Working From Home Communication Assessment, where you'll learn your primary communication style, how to better communicate with others not like you, and tips on working remotely based on your personal communication style. 10 minutes, tons of resources. Learn about yourself and your team. Again, text Kirby to 757-903-0743 for your free assessment report today. I'm Dr. Dave Miles, founder of Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, where we help you and your team be more engaged and productive by understanding each other better. Back to you, Josh.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have to address one thing before we get started. Dan Demski is undefeated.
woo! Let's go.
He batted 1,000.
I'll take it,
batted
boys. I'll
1,000.
take it.
He made all the picks correct. Every pick he wanted, he picked. He got right. So
This is
We are
congratulations,
on-
Carter, though.
we should have taken betting. I should have betted on every game that you picked. I would have made a lot of money.
Well,
Dang
we
it.
are on to the divisional round. Carlos, I need you to get your notepad ready.
I already have it ready.
Okay, cool. Just making sure.
Hold on. Before we do this, I get no love on this podcast. I just want it to be known. I get no love. That ad we just played, they mentioned Dan. Every time Dan has an official title, why don't I have an official title? What is this?
That is
What
true.
is this?
He
What
could
is
be
this
like
cockamamie BS?
He could be like the
I apologize.
lead graphic contributor or something. How about that? Or
We'll
lead
think of a
graphics.
title. We'll think
Yeah,
of a
we'll think
title.
of a
title.
title.
But I get
Sounds
no
great.
love on this podcast.
Oh, you
Carlos,
do.
I love you.
We tell you every day we love you.
Ugh.
I love you.
No, you boys.
It's just not pre-recorded
You know,
low.
we're not friends anymore.
Post-recorded low.
I'm leaving. Goodbye. I'm back. I'm sorry.
Bad connection.
I missed you guys too much. All right, let's do this. Let's do
Okay.
this.
Very nice.
Let's preview and we'll give you our picks, the divisional round, starting off Saturday at 4:30 p.m. The number 4 seed, Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, travel to Nashville to face the number 1 seed, Tennessee Titans.
Well, you know who my preseason pick was. Obviously, it was Tennessee to go to the Super Bowl. So it's a tough one. This is a tough one because we haven't seen the Titans play now in 2 weeks, right? We don't know what kind of shape Derrick Henry's going to be in, and we've seen how hot the Bengals have been and on a roll. But give me Tennessee. I gotta roll with what I picked to begin the season. I think it's going to come down to the end, or it's going to go to overtime. I think Tennessee's going to find a way to win this game.
Kirby.
Tennessee, they have a lot of they've had more time to practice with that first round bye. I would assume Derrick Henry's coming back.
He is.
How much they're going to use him, I don't know if he's going to get a full workload or not. You look at the other side. The Bengals, they're red hot with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. This is really, really tough. And I feel like this game could go either way. But I think Derrick Henry goes off, and I think the Titans win this game.
Well, you both picked the Titans, so guess what? I'm going with the Bengals. I'm going to be a little different on this one. I think the Bengals pull off the upset. I think it is because Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are too much, and because somehow Cincinnati's going to find a way to stop Derrick Henry and a hill to have to win this game. Now, of course, is A.J. Brown and, of course, Julio Jones are the receivers, but it's not as if Julio Jones is the same Julio Jones that he was
I agree
back
with
the
that.
year that Atlanta went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree with that.
A.J. Brown, though, he's a problem. He's very good. But I think Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals are I don't know. I just feel good about them right now. So I'm gonna pick them. Obviously, my guess is probably Tennessee's going to win. But
I don't know though.
The Bengals.
I'm not as confident in Tennessee as I was, just because of how well Cincinnati's played. But yeah.
All right.
The NFC Divisional Playoff could be one of the coldest games ever, I heard. I checked the weather. It's supposed to be 2 degrees at kickoff in Lambeau Field.
Brutal.
The number 1 Green Bay Packers, the number 6 San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, I mean, give me the team that's been there, done that, and is used to playing in the cold. Give me Green Bay, and the MVP Aaron Rodgers. So
yeah, give me Green Bay. I think San Francisco is going to be.
Too much.
I think they'll be competitive in this game, but I think ultimately Green Bay's good. This isn't the San Francisco team that like blew Green Bay out of the water like a couple years ago in that NFC Championship game. This isn't the same team. This is I mean, they're a good running team. I think they're a bad matchup for Green Bay, but I think just the bad man that Aaron Rodgers is just going to be he's just going to be too much. It's the Green Bay Packers are just a much better team.
Jimmy Garoppolo and this 49ers team went to Dallas and they beat the Cowboys. Their offense looked good. Their defense looked well. I mean, what can you say about the 49ers?
Hey, have we heard anything about Bosa, though?
I have not.
That's right. He got injured.
Bosa's out. Another defensive lineman's out. And then Fred Warner got hurt at the end of the game, so they might be missing some guys on defense.
Yeah, that is a good point. Although I think the 49ers might have a chance. The Green Bay Packers are going to stomp them. Give me the Packers.
Okay, so we're all
I like how he hyped
Packers.
up the 49ers, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna give me the Packers."
He just wanted to throw in the whole the 49ers beat the Cowboys thing because, he's a scumbag Washington fan who loves to rub it in our face that we lost. But then when they lost last year, we were sitting there like, oh, man, you guys show some real promise. But, it's fine. He's a scumbag.
Well, not every fan is like that on either side. So yeah,
Oh, fair enough.
yeah.
Before we move on to our last two picks, we'll hear from our sponsor, Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate. We'll be right back.
Hey there, this is Mark Francis of Icon Real Estate. If you have any real estate needs in the Winchester surrounding area, including West Virginia, give me a call. I've got extensive experience, been in the business for almost 20 years, and would love to help you out. Track me down at Icon Real Estate, iconsells.com, or even give me a call, 540-247-1527. Again, Icon Sells, ICONSELLS.com, and I would love to chat with you and help you out. Give me a call.
Two more picks left, boys. The Sunday slate of games, 3 o'clock. The number 4 Rams travel down to Tampa Bay to face Tom Brady and the Buccaneers.
This one's tough for me. My gut says to go with the Buccaneers, but no, I'm just kidding. I'm taking the Buccaneers.
I'm in the same dilemma as you, Dan. I don't know who to pick. My gut is telling me to pick the Rams. But I just don't want to bet against Brady, so give me Tampa Bay. Give me Tampa Bay.
Here.
I can't bet against Brady.
Yep.
Give me the Rams.
Yeah.
You got the okay, cool.
Good pick. I mean, I think the Rams are very capable of
And
pulling
if
the
Tom
upset.
Brady
really-
wins,
100%.
Tom
Really
Brady
do.
wins. But give me the Rams.
Yeah, it's 100%. I agree with you. Like I think the Rams can win, but I just can't bet against Brady. Like I just can't do it.
Yep, I agree. Here we go. This is
Last
the
but not
toughest one.
least, and the
Oh, no,
home of the
Burrow, that's a good
Chiefs, hosting the Buffalo Bills.
This is so tough because this is
one's a
really the
tough one, too.
matchup. This is the matchup everybody wanted to see in the championship game. So unfortunately, we're not going to get a chance to see that. But this is just this one. This one is. Give me the Buffalo Bills going in to Arrowhead and pulling off the upset. It's going to be a hell of a game. I think this is going to be the best game of
Slate.
the slate. Yeah, I couldn't think of the word. It's past my bedtime. So yeah. I know who Carlos is going to pick, but
Yeah, go ahead.
I bet on the Buffalo Bills the beginning of this season, and I'm going to stick with the Buffalo Bills to this point. I still feel like the Buffalo Bills will make it to the Super Bowl and win. I can't go against that. I have to take the Bills.
Well, of course, you guys know I'm going to take the Chiefs just because, they're my dog's team. So
you have to roll with your team. I
have to roll
get
with I have to roll with my last remaining team, and but Buffalo can definitely come in to Arrowhead. They've done it once, but I don't think Lightning's going to strike twice. I don't think Buffalo goes into Arrowhead twice in one season and wins.
It's going to be tough,
especially not the way that Kansas City's playing now. Earlier in the season when they met up, like I've been saying all podcast or this whole entire live stream, however you're listening to this. I've been saying it. This is a different Chiefs team than they faced earlier in the season. They are fine. They finally are going offensively, defensively. They've really. Oh look, Chief making a quick appearance. They've really they've really started to play at the level that we expected the Chiefs to play at. So
I agree.
And I think ultimately, if they can find a way to shut down Josh Allen, I think Kansas City wins this game pretty easily if they can shut down Josh Allen. But that's going to be a huge ask. That's going to be a huge ask to stop that man. So, give me the Chiefs.
So you have that all written down, Carlos?
I have it all written down. So, as the standings stand right now, Dan is the top dog going into divisional week at 6-0. Right behind him is Kirby at 5-1. The only game he got wrong was picking the Raiders over the Bengals. And, of course, it was the other way around.
No,
the Bengals beat the Raiders. So, Kirby is 5-1 going into the divisional round, and I am the bottom dog. I am unfortunately at 3-3. I picked the games I got wrong. I picked the Patriots and the Cowboys and the Cardinals. And those are my 3 wrong picks so far. So I need to make a major rebound here. Boys, are we betting anything on on what the loser has to do?
Oh, I was gonna bring that up.
That's up for interpretation.
All right, constitutional interpretation guy.
I don't think we have time to
I don't
talk
know.
about it on air.
Yeah, we do. The fans need to be a part of this conversation.
I don't know. I can't think.
That way, it's on
That'd be something I have to
record
think about.
what the loser has to do.
How about this? How about we talk about it off air and then we announce it next week on air, or
How
we
about
announce
we-
it some way on air or on social media.
We'll announce it next episode. But how about also to our listeners, if you have any ideas on what, and it has to be like a reasonable thing. It can't be anything wild, right?
Shave our head bald or
Yeah.
something.
I mean,
I wouldn't mind
You're
doing that. I
close
think
to
I'd look
it,
good
Dan.
bald.
uh,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm close to it too. I mean, don't feel bad, Dan. Yeah, but like,
It would hurt though.
just
All right.
But yeah, no. If you guys have any good ideas on what the
Send 'em our
loser
way.
has to do, send them our way. I don't know if we want to do anything for the winner, but we can figure that out later. But yeah, send us your suggestions. And you know, if we pick your idea, you'll get a shout out on the podcast, and Kirby will send you your free shirt.
Oh my God. See, way to
He's a ringer. Look at this guy.
Oh my God.
So Kirby will.
Best
fulfill
suggestion
your-
gets a free shirt.
Gentlemen,
I love
this
it.
was a fun ride, a fun wild card week. Divisional round is right around the corner.
Yep, it's only going to get better, and you're whittling down to those really, really good football teams. So, especially the Bills and Chiefs. I can't wait to watch that game. That might be the game of the season. I really think. So yeah.
Carlos, you ready?
Carlos?
Am I ready?
As technical difficulties. He just froze
Did I
up
go
on
out?
us.
It's that West Virginia
Yeah.
internet.
I think
Oh,
he went
no.
out. Let's
It's gone.
see.
Back.
Yep.
Am I back?
Are you ready, Carlos?
Oh no! Now
You're
I'm-
back.
Now I'm back. There we go.
We're live.
Now
We're
I'm
live.
back. Sorry, technical difficulties. I don't know what the heck just happened.
Hi,
But,
Chief.
yeah, Chief making a
Are
quick
you
appearance.
ready,
Say hi, everyone.
Carlos?
Am I ready for this weekend of football? Absolutely not, because the Cowboys aren't in it anymore. But I'm still going to watch, of course.
But your
At least you have a
Chiefs are-
backup team that's in it.
I mean, it's like I said
Not the
earlier,
same.
it's not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah.
Ladies
I
and
know what you mean.
gentlemen, that's all the time we have. Once again, we're coming to you live. We appreciate all the comments, all the feedback. Thank you to everybody. We really appreciate your support. If you can give us a 5-star rating on whatever platform you listen to us
Look,
on.
we've been podcasting so hard, Chief is tired.
And
go on.
if you can subscribe, give us a comment, leave a rating on YouTube as well. We would greatly appreciate
Leave
that
a review.
as
Dan
well.
loves to see the reviews.
Yeah, Dan is our.
I might read yours on air.
Hey,
I'm gonna go. Let me look real quick. You go ahead
well-
and keep wrapping up there, Joe.
Hey, once again, thanks to Trumbull Insurance. Contact Patrick Bankemper for all your insurance needs. 540-532-0622. And for the rest of our sponsors, Regroup Building Services, PM Plus Reserves, Shenandoah Primitives, Dr. Dave Leadership Corporation, and Mark Francis with Icon Real Estate. We will be back with you live next week. To wrap up the divisional round action of football. We can't wait. The weapon, Dan Demski, and for the Swiss Army knife, Carlos Martinez. I am Josh Kirby. As always, until the next time you hear us or see us, always remember to create greatness. So long and peace out.